Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Cover Project. And I just wanted to revisit one that I've already done in the past, and that's these Pride N64 cases. Namely, how to, these end caps that I showed you. Now, I know this isn't the most helpful one, mainly because these cases, they're kind of hard to find, and when you do, they're kind of expensive, so they're not really the best option for N64 games. Which I'll actually discuss later on in the video, but at the same time I thought it was the one that would benefit the most from this new format that I wanted to try, which is the whole reason I'm redoing this. Basically, I got some capture software for my computer so I can show you how I make these, on the software side of things, rather than just explaining it to you, which I don't think is all that helpful. So, and if you guys like this, then I'll do all the episodes going on this way, as well as any episodes that I've already done. I'll probably redo them in this format as well. But yeah, I will jump on my laptop here, and I'm going to show you how I do this in Photoshop. And the reason for that is it's just the photo editing software that I learned to use from the get-go back when I was in high school in engineering tech. So that's what I use. This is pretty simple stuff. You should be able to figure out how to do this using like GIMP or any other photo editing software. But yeah, let me jump on the laptop here and show you how it's done. Alright, so here we are on my laptop, and the first thing I want to do is show you guys the Cover Project website. And if you look up top here, you can see the URL is obviously thecoverproject.net, but I will leave a link down below in the description just in case. And as I have said before, I have no affiliation with this website. I do post here, I do contribute covers, but I am not in any way an admin, a moderator, or anything, just to be clear. So, as I have said before, but as you can see on the forums here, but if you look on the left here, you can choose from your different consoles, and handhelds are down below, but working with the N64, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and pick. And these are newest covers, but you can choose from a category here, different letters, and also numbers. But let's just go ahead and open up Mario 64 here. And as you can see, it's got this cover selected, the one that I clicked on. But you can choose different covers from different regions even, if people have uploaded them. But this is the vertical style that people like to do a lot of them in. More and more are becoming available, but not a ton of them are, which is another reason why I kind of like to stick with the retail covers. And if I used UGCs, I would probably do the retail covers as well. But then just go ahead and find the cover that you want, and then click this download link here and save it to where you want. But I already have downloaded the cover I want to work with, so I'm just going to go ahead and close Chrome here and come back down and open up Photoshop. And as you can see, I've got the cover open up here, and first thing we need to do is obviously get rid of the front and the back cover to just get the spine. So you'll just want to click on your selection tool, and just drag it from top to bottom here, and then I just need to bring those that selection in, so I just have the spine. To do that, I'll just click on the magnifying glass, then I'll zoom in, and then what I'll do is I'll click on Select, and I will click on Transform Selection, and then I am just going to drag that in until I just have just the spine selected, because I don't want any part of the front or the back cover. And you don't need to be precise, just so you don't have the front or back cover in there. And then just go ahead and click this check mark to say OK. And since I already have the magnifying glass selected, I'm going to right click and just click Fit on Screen. Now you can go about this two ways. You can copy this and paste it into its own file, or save a couple of steps and click on Image here and crop it. And what that has done is it's gotten rid of the anything that wasn't selected. So at this point, I want to save it as its own file, because if I just were to save it now, it would save over that cover, because that's the file we're working with. So what I want to do is click on File and then Save As. And I'm just going to save that where I have my wanted end caps. So Just go ahead and do that here with Pokemon Puzzle League. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click Save. And then I just change this to 12 because I want the highest image quality. And then I like to do progressive with 3 scans. Just click OK. Now it's saved as its own file. Now the next thing that you need to do is change the size so that it will fit inside of the Pride cases. Plus you just want it to be consistent. So to change that, I just go to the image size here and make sure that constrained proportions isn't checked. And then the width needs to be 270 pixels and the height needs to be 2025. Now if you have constrained proportions checked, you can't change these independently. If you change one, it will automatically change the other to keep the aspect ratio the same. But we want to change them independently, so just make sure that's unchecked. And then just go ahead and click OK. Now let's change the size. Next, what we need to do is the logo down here is also not consistent on these cases, on these covers that you'll download, because they don't use a template to make these N64 covers. So they're taking the front and the back cover and the spine and piecing them into one thing. So you'll end up with spines that are wider or more narrow, but you'll also end up with this logo down here where the red is a different shade, the logo is a different size, different position. So I made my own so they were consistent, so all of the end caps look exactly, you know, they look consistent on my shelf and look better. So I made my own logo, and so let's go ahead and just open that up. So just minimize Photoshop here, and I'm just going to go ahead and go to that folder, and you're going to see how I am quite a bit OCD about things. I like to call it detail-oriented, but I guess you be the judge. But I'm going to Endcaps here, Components, and Nintendo 64 logo. And there we go. And I am going to upload this online, and I will have a link down below in the description so that you can download this if you want to make your own end caps. So I'm just going to select all, copy, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste it in here. Now you can see that when I pasted it, if you look over here on the right, it created a new layer. And what that means is it's kind of a new workspace within the same image. So any changes that I make to this logo here are independent from the background spine here, and vice versa. So if I click on background here, any changes I make to this are independent from that Nintendo 64 logo, for now anyways. So I want to move that logo into position, so I'm just going to click back here on layer 1, and then I'm going to select the move tool. Next, I want to make sure that one setting is checked here, and go to view and make sure that snap is checked. Now what that is going to do is, like, let's say if I move it here. If I move it over, watch how it snaps to the edge there. This just helps you in locating it so that you make sure it's in the same position every time when you make these end caps. So I'm just going to drag it down into position, and as you can see, it's going to snap into the bottom there. And now we know that it's in the right position, and it'll be in the same position for every one that we make. Now, you could pretty much call it done at this point. But there are a couple more changes that I like to make, just because, like I said, I'm detail-oriented, and you can choose to do these or you can skip this. But I'll just show you what I'm talking about. The first thing is when you scan something in, you're going to have well, let me show you. I'll just go ahead and zoom in. Select the magnifying glass and zoom in here, but you see all these little specks and stuff here? What that is either something on the box itself that when it was scanned in you really can't do much about, or it's just foreign materials on the plate and glass of the person's scanner. Guaranteed if you scan something in, you're going to have some of these. And plus, I mean, unless your box is like absolutely perfect, you're going to have these. And whether or not these show up when you print them, they probably don't. But, I mean, I'm just, like I said, detail-oriented, so I like to get rid of this kind of stuff, even when I scan in to make my own covers. But to do that, what you'll do here in Photoshop is select the Spot Healer tool. And then I like to change that to Replace. And what this is going to do is it's going to take information from around the area here and make it so that you can erase things like this. But as you can see, I still have layer 1 selected, so if I click, watch, as nothing is going to happen. So what I need to do, you need to click back on the background here, and now, if you click, you see, erases those. So, yeah, this is basically what I'm going to do. I'm just going to clean up these more obvious ones, but I am not going to make you sit through and watch me do that. And like I said, this is a step that you can completely skip, but I'm just going to go ahead and hurry and clean these up, and I'm just going to use some editing to skip ahead. Alright, so last one. So there we go. That looks pretty good to me. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just select the magnifying glass again, right click, and do fit on screen. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, and I think this makes a real big difference when you print it out, is I'm going to mess with the brightness and contrast of the spine here. And to do that, I'm just going to click on Image, Adjustments, and Levels. And you got these 3 sliders here that you can play with. You know, you can just see how I'm affecting the image there. You know, I just think it adds more depth. Just generally makes the image look better, but I think that looks good right there. But you know, just play around with it, get it to where you like it. And you can always check the preview here to see what changes you made. I mean, look at how much more flat and washed out that looks by comparison. I mean, that just looks so much better. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. So at this point, we're done. We've made the end cap. So we want to go ahead and save it again now that it's finished. But in order to save it, we can't save it like this unless we want to save it as a PSD. It won't let us save it as a JPEG because it's got these 2 layers here. So basically what you want to do is just click on Flatten Image, merges them together, and you just have the one file. So now any changes you make will affect everything here. So just go ahead and now click File and Save. And now it's saved that image. So that means we're pretty much done making the end cap. Now we want to print these things out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on File and then New. And I'm going to call this Endcaps. If I could spell Group 9. Actually, put this in parentheses, I think is how I have them named. But name it whatever you want. But we need to change the size here, and I'm going to change this to inches. I'm going to change the width to 11 and the height to 8.5. So letter-sized piece of paper. And then background needs to be white. Go ahead and click OK. And now we have a new file here. I'm actually just going to go ahead and close out that Nintendo 64 logo. And I'm going to go back to the Magical Tetris Challenge here, select all, copy, come back to that new file, and paste it. Now I'm going to click on the Move tool again, and I'm just going to move it as far over to the left as I can, leaving some space. Trust me, if you don't, it will I'm going to leave about that much space, otherwise you can cut off stuff here. It's just the way margins work in printing. You can go in and change that stuff, but it's easier just to leave a little space there. But I've also got another end cap that I was working with that needs to be printed out. So I'm going to go back here and open it up, which was the Pokemon Puzzle League. So I'm just going to select all, copy it, and then I'm going to come back to that new file and paste it. And I'm just going to move it over to the left here, close to that other one. And I'm just going to try to fit as many as I can here, basically. Unfortunately, these are the only 2 that I have to print out, so I'm not going to do that. But if you're doing a lot, you just want to fit as many as you can. That way, you don't waste any paper. So now, There's one trick that you might want to know, and this works with printing any covers. Now, if you notice here on this end cap, his hat matches with the background, so it's not a problem when it's just something the size of his hat. But if it was the whole side of this end cap, and I've had a couple where it is, it's tough to cut it out afterwards because you can't tell where the edge of the end cap is and the background begins. So you might cut into the end cap, you might make it too big, it just kind of makes it a pain. So one way you can help with that here in Photoshop is you can right click on the layers. So we have layer 2 here, which is the Pokemon Puzzle League, and then go to blending options and then click on drop shadow. And then what I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to change the size and just drag this slider over, and as you look over at the end cap you can see that it creates this shadow around it. And so then what you can do is now you can see that there's a clear difference between the edge of this end cap and the background. So when I print this out, I'll know where to cut. So that's just one way to help you out when cutting these out later on if you need to do that. Not really a big deal here, so I'm just going to do undo. Another thing that I like to do is I like to rename these to the game that they are. So layer 2 I would rename to Pokemon Puzzle League, and layer 1 here to Magical Tetris Challenge. I am not going to flatten this together and merge these layers because I like to be able to come in later if I have to and edit these independently. So I'm just going to save it as a PSD file. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and click Save As here. And as you can see, Photoshop PSD. And I'm going to go to Covers here and save it with the rest of my end caps. So Groups. And so I'm just going to make sure that's the same as the rest of them there. So end caps group 9. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click Save. And now it's going to bug you about compatibility. Just click OK. So now we have that saved. Now the last thing that we need to do is print this out. So go ahead and just click on Print. And if you have an amazingly fast laptop like mine, it will take a little bit to bring it up. But up here, you just want to select what printer you're going to use. And this is my color printer, so don't need to change that. And then I'm going to click on Print Settings. Now what comes up here is going to depend on your printer. This is not a window being supplied by Photoshop. This is a window that's being supplied by the drivers of your printer. So it will look different depending on what printer you have. And what I do is I actually go in and I click on Advanced here. And the settings I change are, I change the paper type. And you want to make sure that you change this to whatever paper type that you're using. If you're using plain paper, you don't want glossy photo paper selected, otherwise it will use entirely too much ink and just saturate the crap out of that paper. It'll be wrinkly and look like garbage. So just make sure you select the correct paper for what you're printing on. I am using glossy photo paper, so that's what I select. Now I change the quality. I used to print a lot on Best Photo here, but it uses a lot of ink, so I tested out Photo and Fine as well and compared the images. And at this resolution I could not tell a difference. So I've started using Fine, which uses a lot less ink and prints a lot faster. So that's what I would suggest. Mess around with your quality settings. See if you can see a difference. If not, go with the lesser quality. Saves you time, saves you money. But then I select Landscape. Sometimes mine likes to select High Speed. I don't like that. Obviously you wouldn't want grayscale. And then another thing it likes to do is select Epson Vivid for mine. Which oversaturates the crap out of it. So I like to make sure that mine is standard here. Obviously you may not have this setting if you don't have an Epson printer. And then I'll just go ahead and click OK here. And after some years of waiting on this nice laptop, it makes the change, and here we are. So this is ready to go. And as you can see, this area on the edge here is the margin. So if you put this to the edge there, as you can see, that little edge there would be where it was going to cut off. So it would have cut off your end cap. But anyhow, it is ready to be printed, so you can just go ahead and click Print. And once that pops out, we just cut them out. And I will go ahead and get to that part. So I will see you guys in a second. Alright, so I've printed them out here. And as you can see, I've already cut off the excess. I can I can reuse that for something else. So, but what I'd like to show you is I've actually, since that the last video was, I showed you the paper that I used, and it was kind of a thin, just really basic inkjet paper. And I've actually gone with something a little bit thicker, which is this Canon, which is a 10.2 mil thickness paper. It's pretty thick. It's in comparison, it's even thicker than the photo paper I regularly use to make covers. So it really suits this application really well. So it's just this Canon photo paper plus semi-gloss, and it looks a lot better than that matte, rather thin inkjet paper I was using before. But yeah, and it's just a letter size, so your standard 8.5 by 11. I will leave a link down below in the description to get this paper if you want it. But yeah, I printed these out here, and now I just need to cut them out really quick. So my old scissors here, and just cut this out. Alright, so there you have it. Cut those two out. And you know, the other reason that I wanted to redo this was, now I talked about the uniformity with the N64 logo down here. That was not something that I did with the previous batch of these that I did with the with that crappy inkjet paper, but and so I had logos that were in different positions, different colors, different sizes, and it just set my borderline OCD off. So I had to do something about it. It was just a convenient excuse. So yeah, so I've got those printed out. So we just take our end cap here, open up our case, just drop it into the spine here, take our game, drop it in, manual, stick it on top, close the case. There you go. Works out real nice. Now, this is not the only option. There are obviously better, cheaper options for people that are looking to save some money and not try to get all of their games in boxes. And I, you know, well, not boxes, but cases. And I like the cases because they fit with everything else that's in my collection. You know, everything else in my collection, save for my NES games, are in cases. So that's where I'd like to head, and I just really don't like the game sitting loose. But if that's not a problem for you, it's great. There are plenty of options. An alternative to these would be universal game cases. Discussed those before. They fit just about anything. I like these better than universal game cases. The only downside is they don't have the plastic sleeve for you to slide a cover in. Hopefully at one point somebody redoes N64 cases, and maybe I'll transition over to those that have a slip cover for printed covers, because it'd be nice to have something that looks like the box, but for me this is an awesome alternative. Now, say you don't want to even spend money on UGCs. You just want to store them loose. You've got a host of options. You actually have, you can just write on the cartridge itself with a Sharpie, which I don't endorse. Please don't do that. Get some masking tape at least and put it on there, and then write on the masking tape. You could use labeling. But even better, you can find these on eBay, or you can go to 8-Bit Evolution. Now there's two different kinds you can get, but they have these end labels that go on the top of the cartridge. The ones on eBay are a little bit cheaper. They're a paper label, and you have to cut them out yourself. But they're quite a bit cheaper. And what they'll do is they'll have every US release N64 game on there. And then you just put it on the top, and there you go. A pretty cool thing. But even better, 8-Bit Evolution has some higher quality ones, which are like a vinyl sticker. They can be unstuck and restuck. Very high quality, look great. You don't have to cut them out, you just peel them off and stick. So I will leave a link down below to 8-Bit Evolution to get those stickers if you want. Same deal, you get pretty much every US release game. And I'll also leave a link in the description down below to CJR's channel for a review he did on those labels, because that's what he did with his games. So some alternatives there to going with this. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope this video was helpful to somebody. you know, there's some options if you don't want to use the pry cases, but you know, if you got any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you got a request for a system or games that you want to see future cover project episodes for, leave them down below and I'll be glad to do them. And hey, if you've got a game that you need a cover for that you can't find and you'd like me to make one, message me. I'll see what I can do to help you out. But also, comment down below, how do you prefer this over the old style? Do you like this or do you like the old style better? So let me know and we'll figure out what we're going to do going forward in the future. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you next time.